Quick, fresh and tasty, this pasta ticks all of the right boxes.
We'll get on with our basil pesto first. What I have here is one bunch of basil, and all we need to do is separate the leaves and adding them into a blender. If you don't want to use a blender, you can also use a mortar and pestle. And if you want to, you can break up a couple of the stems and chuck them in as well. It's all extra flavor, just adds an even more better infusion. Another thing to mention is if you want to use basil as a garnish, I recommend leaving a few leaves separate. Don't add them all in, but that choice is all yours.
Along with the basil, we need 2 tablespoons of pine nuts, toasted or untoasted, 1 garlic clove, half of a lemon, and then squeeze in the juice. Just make sure no seeds decide to go in there. And then add in about 1/4 of a cup of Parmesan cheese, just freshly grated, and the amounts don't really matter too much. Season with a little bit of salt, add in some extra virgin olive oil, only enough to get this moving. We don't want to drown it at this point. And then blend this up on a high speed, make sure everything is blitzed down, and it is a good idea to scrape down the edges and then adjust it with any more extra virgin olive oil, going to a pourable but thick consistency. It's always best to start off small because you can always add more, but if you add too much, it's going to be very hard to take it out without starting again. Double check it for seasoning as well as acidity levels, and then this can be placed in the fridge until we're ready to serve.
For the remaining prep, we're going to need 500 grams, 1.1 pounds of cherry tomatoes, 3 large garlic cloves, 1 long red chili. It's completely optional, they aren't very spicy anyway, and then that reserved basil if you've chosen to use it.
With the cherry tomatoes, slice these in half or into quarters. They can be on the more expensive side, so if you don't want to use these, regular tomatoes work fine, and as a worst case scenario, you can use crushed canned tomatoes. That choice is all yours. Chilies are optional. Like I said, this one isn't that spicy. If you wanted something a little more spicy, you can choose any chili of your choice, and all we need to do with this is roughly chop it. The garlic can be done one of 3 ways. You can either roughly chop it like what I'm doing, placing the side of your knife to crush and then just going through it. You can thinly slice it, as well as grating it on a microplane. Lastly, with the reserved basil leaves, these can be left whole. You can tear them up by hand, or you can thinly slice them like what I'm doing.
When you're ready to cook, place a large pot of water onto your stovetop, bring it up to a boil, and you can season this lightly with salt. By the way, this gas burner doesn't really work properly, so I have to stand here for about 20 seconds or so and just wait for it to stay on like that. For the sauce, we'll place a large pan over a medium-high heat. There we go.
When your pan is actually over a medium-high heat, add in 1 tablespoon of olive oil, add in the garlic as well as the chili if you're deciding to use it. You can add chili flakes instead, I forgot to say that before. Fry this off for about a minute to a minute and a half just to get this nice and fragrant, and then we can add in the cherry tomatoes, our regular tomatoes or our canned tomatoes, as well as a little bit of salt and cracked black pepper. 20 cracks worth. We want to saute this for about 8 to 10 minutes to break down those tomatoes. If you've used canned tomatoes, allow it to come up to a boil and then reduce the heat to low. Now going back to our pasta water, it's at a boil. Add in 350 grams of any pasta of your choice and cook it for 1 minute less than the packet instructions. And then going back to our sauce, the tomatoes have been cooking away, they're nice and soft and broken down. We can introduce 1 tablespoon of tomato paste. This is just to create depth. Add in about half a teaspoon of sugar to balance out the acidity and then cook this down for about 1.5 minutes. Add in half a cup or 125 milliliters of thickened cream. If you want to lower the fat content, you can use low fat cream. Mix that together and cook this for about 2 to 3 minutes to reduce down until you get that nice golden color, and then check it for seasoning, adjusting with salt and cracked black pepper. I'm also adding in a pinch of chili flakes here, which is completely optional, as well as Parmesan cheese, and the amounts are completely up to you, but it's cheese, so add as much as you like. Mix that together, cook this for about 1 minute for those flavors to become friends, and then we can introduce our cooked and drained pasta. I do recommend reserving a little bit of that pasta water if you want to adjust the consistency, and we can add a touch of that basil leaves that we reserved, but that is completely optional. Mix that all together, make sure all of the pasta is coated in the sauce and all of the seasonings are correct, then remove it from the stovetop, and this recipe will serve 2. You could probably get 3 out of it, and I've made these portions incredibly large, so that's way over proportion. Add on some more Parmesan cheese, add in the remaining reserved basil, and then I'm using some baby Bocconcini here, which is just small mozzarella balls torn up to add that little bit of extra fling. Add a few more chili flakes, it's completely optional, and then don't forget to spoon over that basil pesto. I actually forgot about this and had to refilm this whole scene, but with the problems aside, we're then left with this creamy cherry tomato basil pesto pasta. It smells and looks incredible and takes about 25 minutes.
This looks incredibly fresh, incredibly tasty. There is only one thing left to do, and that is, of course, we can then dig it. That is an incredible blend of flavors. There's so much going on. It's fresh, it's tasty, it's a little bit salty, it's a little bit sweet. You got that pesto that just adds that last little finishing touch. Of course, you don't have to add chili as well if you don't like that heat, but it really isn't that spicy at all. If you enjoyed this video, please do leave a thumbs up. It helps me out more than you believe. Leave a comment as well. Let me know what you think of the recipe or what you want to see next. And subscribe if you haven't already. It's free, so why not?